Common Fractions Part 3 Mixed Numbers. In this diagram, one whole and one half of a whole has been shaded. One whole and one half is written as 1 and a half. This is called a mixed number. In this diagram, 1, 2 wholes and 1 half has been shaded. This is written as follows. 2 and a half is called a mixed number. Let's look at question 1. Write down the mixed numbers shaded in each of the figures below. For B, we are working with quarters. 1 whole and 1 quarter has been shaded. For D, we are working with thirds. 1 whole and 1 third has been shaded. Pause this video to complete question 1 by yourself. When you are ready, press play for question 2. Question 2. Complete to write as a mixed number. 1 and a third is 1 and 1/3 as a mixed number. B, 1 and 1/3 plus another third is 1 and 2/3. Let's look at this question. 1 and 1/6 plus another sixth is 1 and 2/6. We need to write our answers in simplest form, so it's 1 and 1/3 as a final answer. Pause this video to complete question 2 by yourself. Question 3. 1 and 1/3 plus 1 and 1/3. We say 1 plus 1 gives us 2 wholes, and our fraction parts, 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. Let's look at B. 1 and a third plus 2/3. 1/3 plus 2/3 will give us 3/3 or 1 whole, and 1 plus 1 is 2. Pause this video to complete question 3 by yourself. Question 4. Complete each number chain. A. 2 plus a quarter is 2 and a quarter. 2 and a quarter plus a quarter is 2 and 2/4. Or we can write this as 2 and a half. Plus another quarter is going to be 2 and 3/4. And plus another quarter, we will have 2 and 4/4, or our next whole number, which is 3. Let's look at C. 4 and a half minus a half is 4. 4 wholes minus a half, we will be left with 3 wholes and a half. Minus a half will give us 3 wholes, and 3 minus a half will be 2 and a half. Finally, let's look at E. 3 and 1/3 minus a third, we will be left with 3 wholes. Then 3 minus 1/3, we will be left with 2 wholes, and because there are 3/3 in 1 whole, we will have 2/3 left. Then minus another third, 2 and 1/3, and finally minus another third, we will be left with 2 wholes. Pause this video to complete question 4 by yourself. Question 5. Which fraction is represented by each letter on the number line? Write answers as mixed numbers where necessary. Let's look at A. From 0 to 1, we have divided the whole into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. Therefore, we are working with sixths. A is 2/6 or 1/3. B is 3/6 or a half. C is 5/6. D is 1 whole and 1/6. And E is 1 whole and 3/6 or 1 whole and a half. Let's look at C. From 0 to 1, we have divided the whole into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. Therefore, we are working with quarters. A is 1/4. B is 2/4 or a half in simplest form. C is 1 1/4. D is 1 3/4. And E is 2 1/4. Pause this video to complete question 5 by yourself. Worksheet 2, Improper Fractions. In this diagram, we are working with halves. 1, 2, 3 halves have been shaded. We write this as 3/2, and this is called an improper fraction. In this diagram, we are working with thirds. 1, 2, 3, 4 thirds have been shaded. 4/3 is also called an improper fraction. Let's look at question 1. Write down the improper fractions shaded in each of the figures below. For A, we are working with halves, and 1, 2, 3 halves have been shaded. Let's look at B. We are working with quarters, and 4 plus another 1/4, so 5 quarters have been shaded. Pause this video to complete question 1 by yourself. Question 2. 1 whole is equal to 2 halves. 1 whole is equal to 3 thirds. 1 whole is equal to 4 quarters. And 1 whole is also equal to 5/5. Let's look at B. 1 1/2. 1 whole is 2 halves, plus the other half gives us 3 halves. We have written our mixed number as an improper fraction. Let's look at C. We are working with thirds, so 1 whole is equal to 3 thirds, plus 2 thirds gives us 5 thirds as an improper fraction. Pause this video to complete question 2. Question 3. 2 wholes is equal to 4 halves, because 2 times 2 is 4. 2 wholes is equal to 6 thirds, because 2 times 3 is 6. 2 wholes are equal to 8 quarters, because 2 times 4 is 8. Let's look at B. 2 1/2. Our fraction part is a half. Therefore, we rewrite 2 wholes as 4 halves, plus the half gives us a final answer of 5 halves as an improper fraction. C. We are working with thirds. Therefore, 2 wholes, 2 times 3 gives us 6 thirds, plus the 2 thirds, which gives us a final answer of 8 thirds as an improper fraction. Pause this video to complete question 3. Question 4. 3 wholes is equal to 6 halves, because 3 times 2 is 6. 3 wholes is equal to 12 quarters, because 3 times 4 is 12. Let's look at B. 3.5. We rewrite 3 as 6 halves, plus the 1/2 gives us an answer of 7 halves. C, 3 2/3. 3 times 3 gives us 9/3, plus the 2/3 gives us a final answer of 11/3 as an improper fraction. Pause this video to complete question 4. Question 5. Complete by doing mental calculations. 4 wholes is equal to 8 halves. 5 wholes is equal to 15/3 because 5 times 3 is 15. Let's look at B. 4.5. 4 times 2 gives us 8 halves, plus the 1/2 equals 9 halves. Let's look at D. 7 times 4 gives us 28 quarters, plus 3 quarters gives a final answer of 31 quarters. Let's look at 10 4/5. 10 times 5 is 50/5, plus 4/5 is 54/5. Pause this video to complete question 5. Worksheet 3. Question 1. Complete each number chain. Write answers as improper fractions where necessary. For 1a, 1/4 plus another quarter is 2/4 or a half, plus another quarter is 3/4, plus another quarter is 1 whole or 4 quarters, plus another quarter as an improper fraction is 5 quarters. Let's look at D. 1/4 plus a quarter is 2/4 or a half. Now plus 2/4 is 4/4 or 1 whole. Minus a quarter is 3/4. Plus 3/4 is 6/4. Pause this video to complete question 1. Question 2. Which fraction is represented by each letter on the number line? Write answers as improper fractions where necessary. Let's look at A. From 0 to 1, we have divided the whole into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. Therefore, we are working with fifths. There's 2/5. C is 4/5. Then D is going to be 6/5 as an improper fraction. And E, that will be 7/5, so E is 8/5. Pause this video to complete question 2 by yourself. Worksheet 4. Write each improper fraction as a whole number or a mixed number. A. 2 halves is 1 whole. Therefore, 3 halves is equal to 2 halves plus 1/2. 2 halves is a whole, so my mixed number is 1.5. Directly beneath it, 3/3 is 1 whole. Therefore, 4/3 will be 1 whole and 1/3. Pause this video to complete question A, B, and C by yourself. Question D. 4 halves is equal to 2. We can check by saying 4 divided by 2 is 2. Therefore, 5 halves is going to equal 2.5. 5 divided by 2 is 2, remainder 1/2. 6/3 is 2 wholes because 6 divided by 3 is 2. Therefore, 7/3, 7 divided by 3 is 2, remainder 1, and we are working with thirds. So pause this video to complete question D, E, and F by yourself. Question 2. Write each improper fraction as a whole number or a mixed number. A. 4/4 is 1 whole, therefore 5/4 is 1/4. 6/4, 6 divided by 4 is 1 whole, remainder 2/4. And this in simplest form is 1.5. Let's look at D. 8/4 is 2, therefore 9/4 is 2 1/4. 10/4, 10 divided by 4 is 2, remainder 2/4, which in simplest form is 2.5. Pause this video to complete question 2 by yourself. Question 3. Write each improper fraction as a mixed number. Leave answers in simplest form. For A, 3/2 is 1.5. Directly beneath it, 5/4 is 1 1/4. Let's look at B. 5/2, 5 divided by 2 is 2, remainder 1/2. For C, 11/4, 11 divided by 4 is 2, remainder 3, which leaves us with 3/4. Let's check our answer going backwards. 2 times 4 gives us 8/4, plus 3/4 is 11/4. Therefore, our answer is correct. Let's look at D. 7 divided by 2 is 3 wholes, remainder 1/2. Pause this video to complete question A, B, C, and D by yourself. Let's look at E. 14/4. We can simplify this fraction before we write it as a mixed number. We divide top and bottom by 2 to get 7/2. Then 7 divided by 2 is 3, remainder 1/2. Let's look at F. 16/10. Again, we can simplify before we change it into a mixed number. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 8 divided by 5 is 1, remainder 3/5. Pause this video to complete question E, F, G, and H by yourself. Worksheet 5, Mixed Questions. Let's look at selected questions together. 1 minus 1/2 is 1/2. Therefore, 2 minus 1/2 is 1.5. Let's look at B. 2 minus 1.5 is 1/2, because 1/2 plus 1.5 is 2. 2 minus 1 1/4 is 3/4, because 3/4 plus 1 1/4 is 2 wholes. Let's look at C. 3 minus 2.5 is 1/2, because 1/2 plus 2.5 is 3. 3 minus 2 1/3 is 2/3, because 2/3 plus 2 1/3 is 3 wholes. Let's look at this question. 3 minus 1 1/6 is going to be 5/6 and 1 whole, because 1 5/6 plus 1 1/6 will give us 3 wholes. Lastly, 4 minus 2 3/7 is going to be 4/7 and 1 whole, because 1 4/7 plus 2 3/7 is 4 wholes. Pause this video to complete question 1 and question 2 by yourself. Worksheet 6. Write the following numbers in ascending order of size. We have 3/3, which is 1 whole, 1/6, 5/6, and 7/6. 7/6 is 1 1/6. Therefore, in ascending order of size, from smallest to biggest, we have 1/6, then 5/6, then 1 whole or 3/3, and finally 7/6 or 1 1/6. Pause this video to complete question 1 by yourself. Question 2. Write the following numbers in descending order of size. Descending order of size from big to small. 1 1/3, then we have 2/3, 5/3 is equal to 1 2/3, and finally we have 1/3. Therefore, in descending order of size, here is our biggest number, so we have 5/3, then 1 1/3, then 2/3, and finally 1/3. Pause this video to complete question 2 by yourself.